Alice's kindergarten teacher wrote in the comments section of her first quarter report card home a note to her mom. Sometimes she gets a little carried away with worrying about others than herself, but does respond to suggestions made. At the end of the second quarter, she wrote in the comments section, Alice has made real progress in her attitude in the welfare and progress of her classmates. We are gathered here today in the memory of Alice Ruth Painter. I have known her my entire life. She was my best friend. I could call her day or night, and she would always answer the phone. And she would always have the best advice under any circumstance that I was going through. Even if that advice was something as simple as hang in there, kiddo. It's going to get better. I could always depend on her. We are her family, her friends, and her colleagues. We are those who loved her. I feel as though a central overriding theme in Alice's life was caregiving of those around her. Her first major caregiving role was that of her children. She was very involved in their lives and placed a great emphasis on family traditions. She wanted to teach her children all that her parents had taught her, and one of those things was sewing. Her mother was a great seamstress, and so was she. Through the years, there were many sewing projects that went on in their household. And I would say that the highlight of those sewing projects was when her daughter came to her and asked her to make her wedding dress for her. I know that she cherished those moments spent with her daughter, sewing and fitting that dress. It was a special, special memory for her. Another way that she carried on family traditions was gardening. Her mother was a great gardener, and so was she. And she hoped through the years, as she taught her children all that she knew that her mother had taught her about gardening, that they would grow to appreciate gardening as much as she and her mother did. Flowers, vegetables, every aspect of gardening. She also placed a high value on the time that she spent with her girls, as much time as she possibly could get. Whether it was chaperoning on field trips, helping out in the classroom at school, taking on projects within 4-H, she would do anything she could to spend more time with her girls. It was obvious to anyone who knew her how much she deeply cared for her children. Her extended family knew that, and they knew more. They knew that she also placed a great emphasis on maintaining family ties with her family. And one way that she did that, as you all know, she reorganized the annual family reunion of extended family members that had not been held in a number of years. She was very, very instrumental in getting that off the ground again, sending out a lot of invitations and spending a lot of time on the phone, getting everyone together. And I know that you all appreciate that and attend it even today, yes. Another way that she went out of her way to maintain family ties was by inviting her nieces and nephews along on their family vacations because she considered them to be part of her family as well. And it was important to her that she maintained those relationships with them. They all knew how much she cared about family ties. She was just as concerned also about community ties. The third major caregiving role in her life, as many of you know, was of the elderly in our community. She had a very close relationship with her grandparents. She spent many, many hours visiting with them. When her grandmother broke her hip in her later years, her and her daughter, her youngest daughter, moved in with them for almost a year in order to get her grandmother back on her feet so that she could maintain her independence and stay in her own home. I know that meant a great deal to her to be able to help her grandmother maintain her independence in that way. She also volunteered in the community for our community elderly. She volunteered on her own and through interfaith volunteer caregivers. And she enjoyed her relationships with the elderly so much that she took the classes to earn her CNA license so that she could work with the elderly in our community at a more professional level. It was obvious to anyone who knew her that she cared deeply about the elderly in our community and in her family. It is hard for us to imagine a world without her here to be able to depend on. Alice was a caregiver in every sense of the word. She devoted her life to that ideology. She was a genuine caregiver of the world in which she lived, by caring for her children, her family, and the elderly in our community. I believe that Alice was able to take that God-given trait that her kindergarten teacher so delicately touched upon and turn it into something that would make the world around her a better place. She wouldn't want us to focus on our loss and our heartbreak. Instead, she would rather that we take a cue from her life and focus more on what we can do for others. Let that be the lasting impression that she leaves with all of us.